Hi, I'm the Alchemist Astrologer, and this is the Collective Call, the monthly forecast where I use tarot to tap into the collective consciousness and the possibilities for the future. Remember that this is a general reading and may include energy received by you, projected onto others, or in the environment. So let's get started. So, the week of January the 1st through the 7th, we begin with the Death card. And when you think about it, it's a fitting card for the beginning of the year. You have to relinquish some old things in order to make way for new beginnings. And so, this is a week where you may be very focused on your habits, letting go of bad habits, regenerating some aspect of your life. For some of you, this may have to do with healing and improving something. So maybe you are regenerating in ways that improve your health, your diet, your exercise program. Some of you may be recovering from surgery, or maybe you're dealing with psychological issues and talking to a therapist or a counselor. So there could be some contact with healers this week. Others of you may be trying to improve a situation related to finances, large sums of money, taxes, debts, inheritance issues. So you're looking at issues where you're having to purge what is no longer necessary, to cut the dead wood of a situation. And this is a week where you're very focused on survival, getting ahead, pushing through boundaries, because you're very security oriented and you don't want to be in situations or relationships that are dead, stagnant, restrictive, confining, or uncertain. And so this could be a week where maybe you're healing from the past, some kind of crisis or emergency situation. For a very select few of you, you may be dealing with some kind of profound loss this week, and it could be an important figure in your life, particularly a woman, maybe a mother figure, your wife, or just someone who is important to you. Others of you, you may be dealing with issues that connect to sexuality in some way. And, maybe there have been fertility issues. Maybe you've lost a child, or just difficult situations to consider that affect you emotionally on a deep level. Others of you, it's possible that you're giving birth to a child because you also have the Empress here. And so for some of you, you are trying to, maybe you're recovering from the birth of a child, or you're releasing a project, a creative endeavor that you've been working on. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Maybe you're in some kind of negotiations, or you're working through some issues that require the intervention of others. Maybe discretion is important. It could be that you are in private doing some kind of recovery, either emotionally or physically. So you may realize that you need some time alone with a partner. And in doing that, maybe you plop down a large sum of money to take a vacation, or maybe you're buying a property of some sort. But there's something going on behind the scenes where you'd rather keep your privacy. Some of you, that may be cosmetic surgery, or healing from giving birth to a child. Maybe you have major changes, a major transition in your life, and you need to spend time with a partner, or caring for a child, or nurturing yourself, or some interest of yours. It's a week where powerful transformation can take place, because there is a theme of luck running through, opportunities that are available, as long as you are putting in that practical effort. And if you have a particular goal, you may not reach it this week, but your continued efforts bring you one step closer. And those steps will eventually pay off in the future. It's a week if you need to repair a situation or a relationship. You have the ability to smooth over your communication. And you also have the ability, if need be, to make new and better connections. So there can be a focus on the willingness to help, to create necessary change, or Providence stepping in to make those changes for you. And it's a week where you need to be mindful of perhaps taking time for yourself, your well-being, your happiness, your idea or vision of what success means to you, and recharging your batteries. And that could mean that stepping back from a situation that has been very intense or has pushed you to the limit in some way in order to recharge, refresh yourself and your perspective, and a shift may occur on something that you were ready to give up on. Now, while you do need to relax, you cannot be apathetic or insensitive and expect that things will naturally fall into place without any of your input. So practical effort is necessary, but it should be supportive of powerful changes in your well-being. Now, you may have something that comes up with a contract, and your advice is to pay attention to the finer points. The finer points of communication and negotiation are important. It's a week where you may be entering into agreements or signing contracts, so make sure you understand the fine print. And that's important because your advice card is Pay the Piper. And Pay the Piper indicates that, every action carries a consequence. So for some of you, there could be maybe some recent business or financial practices that have pushed the boundaries and you've gotten a negative result. So maybe this was motivated by your desire to win or outmaneuver the competition. Maybe you chose something that was illicit or underhanded or created waste, or perhaps you failed to take on a duty or responsibility, or you didn't take it seriously enough. Whatever the case, you're now having to deal with your actions where perhaps immediate gratification came with a negative payoff. Again, that could emphasize debt, a breach of trust, some unfavorable circumstance, a challenge, or a setback. So there are consequences this week to making the wrong choice, whether it's in partnership, entertainment, a distraction, or a behavior. Something is coming home to roost. But your survival instincts will kick in and give you that ability to smooth over, repair, to heal a situation, yourself, a relationship, by recognizing negative habits that no longer serve you. And this week emphasizes the sign of Scorpio, Taurus, and possibly Libra. And these may be persons with their sun, their moon, or that as their rising sign. Now, the second week of January, January 8th through the 14th, is an extension of last week, of course, where you were concerned perhaps with expenses, the beautification, well-being of something. This is a week where you're really holding on or holding tight to a position. Perhaps you feel very territorial about something or very possessive. It could be that you're holding on to money. There's something that you want to do. Maybe it involves pampering yourself or creating a beautiful environment, or maybe you're holding on to someone you highly value who you think is attractive. But it's a week that can swing either way toward financial security with the focus on being frugal or, trying to manage resources and protect them. where you may even enter territory where you're hoarding or become selfish or possibly greedy. So you're looking at conservative investments, and this is a week that may bring you into contact with people who are connected to finances, institutions, wealthy people, bankers. And you're looking at your own investment of time and emotion and energy, as well as material resources. So for some of you, this is going to be a good week for you to explore possibilities, something that would lead to greater stability. Some opportunity that, for better employment or a bigger deal. But it's important that this is a week where you're realistic in your approach to dealing with resources and relationships, especially in matters that mean a lot to you. So you may be seeking some kind of guarantee, that you're going to get a certain something. So you're watching your pennies, and that may be warranted, or maybe you're just being a tightwad. Only you can decide that. So you also have an influence here of expectation. So some of you could be in the business of something that has to do with hospitality or pampering other people. Or again, maybe you're trying to spend money on yourself to feel good. But you're looking at codes, rules, regulations, and expectations. And if you're using energy productive, this can be a highly productive week where you accomplish a lot toward your goals, which may lead you to the splendor of yourself, some acclaim you receive, or maybe you are saving for a beautiful property, or you want to make improvements to yourself. It can also be a week, if you're not careful, if you're not making conservative choices, you may be rather reckless in your decision making, choosing the wrong form of entertainment, of distraction, the wrong lover, the wrong associate, and those people become problematic. And if you're holding tight or blocking change, you need to ask yourself if what you're holding on to is actually worth it, and is it costing you more than it's worth? Because in some cases, whatever you do or whomever you get involved with can mean that their issues, their problems become your problems. So you may be burdened with caring for someone or taking care of something. Maybe you're looking at business issues where there's been a setback of some sort. Or again, maybe there's a medical issue or emotional issue that belongs to someone else or yourself. The other end of that spectrum is being so caught up in self and your concerns that you're not objective about a situation, and it begins to become a larger than life problem. Maybe you start to blow something out of proportion. Whatever it is, you will discover this week the worth of something. And if you're carrying some self-inflicted burdens, it may be that you're pushing too much. You're trying too hard to avoid a situation or achieve something. There's been a lack of fulfillment in expectation, a lot of empty promises, and they can be small things. The promise to call someone back, the promise to follow through, to check up on something, to do A, B, or C, and it's never done. And it becomes a bad habit that starts to reflect poorly on your reputation and your relationships. And if that's the case, this could be a week where you find yourself dealing with some kind of drama, scandal, intrigue. And it probably centers on the domestic situation. Some of you may be involved in some domestic squabbles. Perhaps there's been some selfishness or greed or holding on to something or not following the rules or the rules of play in relationships. So there can be a lack of responsibility toward your domestic affairs, or perhaps you're in a chaotic home situation, or there's trouble through property or family. And for some of you, maybe there's some unexpected repairs. Last week could have been about expenses to renovate, redecorate, some kind of repair. And so this is a week where now you're looking at the cost of something, or where last week contracts were important and perhaps someone has gotten over or they didn't fulfill the expectation. It's also a week where you're looking at limitation. That overextension is requiring you to restructure your budget or find other sources of income. So this is a week where you may have to address debt. You may have to look at eliminating unnecessary spending, because personal freedom is the goal. But the advice is also take the risk. Maybe not let a limitation stop you from fulfilling something. To reap a big reward, this is a week where you're going to have to take a calculated risk, a cautious risk, to explore, again, those opportunities. And you're being encouraged to take a gamble because of your belief in a dream and the ability to manifest it. So if you've already put in the groundwork, the research, you've made the right connections, perhaps you're being overly cautious and you need to put that doubt or pessimism or fear or hesitation aside, because it's highly possible that you may land the account or gain the benefit or win the prize. But what's really important this week is that you're taking a chance on yourself, that you're considering the odds and then you're defying them. And this also extends into relationship. If there is someone who has captured your interests, perhaps you need to let go of the discomfort of letting them know how you feel. Maybe you've been trying to protect your heart. And this is a week where you should open the dialogue, start a relationship or establish it, or extend yourself in a way that could feel vulnerable for you. And if you're already in a relationship, this could be a week where you need to up the ante of your personal game, your investment in the connection. So any self-imposed limitations, you're facing those out of fear or doubt, and this is a week to overcome that fear. If you stop holding on to those past attitudes, the experiences you had of previous relationships, it could be that you're off to the races in some kind of romantic adventure or a mutually beneficial exchange. And this week's major players in the game could be Capricorn or Taurus, and it could be their sun, their moon, or their rising sign. This third week, the week of January the 15th through the 21st, you are dealing with Queen of Wands energy. It's fire, and it could be an Aries, a Leo, a Sagittarius, and it may be their sun, their moon, or their rising sign, or it could just be that the traits of this queen prove important this week. This is someone who is enterprising, career-minded, very devoted or protective. Maybe this is someone who is socially well-positioned, or it could be someone who has a lot of business success, or they have leadership ability. This week, there is fierce determination running through a situation. And if you're not connected to someone with these qualities, it could be you getting a lot of recognition or attention in some way. It's a week where you're highly intuitive. In fact, you can judge other people, see their character, their traits, their potential, and make decisions accordingly. And so it's a week where others may rally around you. Maybe you receive the support, the cooperation, by people who are charmed by your talent, your skill, your expertise, your knowledge, your aura. So you may be setting a positive example for other people this week. And it's a good week to introduce yourself to those who can open doors for you and further your interests. Maybe you find yourself in some kind of negotiations, or you're the central focal point in mediation between parties that have discord or disagreement. Some of you are attracting a lot of romantic attention. And in fact, this is a week where you may be involved with someone on an intimate level, whether that is physically or emotionally. And so there's an increased desire this week for you to get that attention, that appreciation. And people are seeing who you are. People are noticing you and what you have to offer. And you're using that power of attraction to your advantage. So this is a week where you're going to bring into your circle a wide variety of interests from people whose goals, ideas, personalities align with yours in that desire for change, for adventure, for excitement. Now, the issue is that in some cases, you may be attracting the wrong kind of thing, which we spoke about last week if you weren't careful in the choice of your alliances and the problems that they may bring to your sphere. So, some of you're attracting people who may create some kind of issue of animosity, or there can be the tendency, because the Queen of Wands is dramatic, to blow things out of proportion and make problems more than what they really are. Or you make problems out of this need to seek adventure or to be the center of attention. Some of you, even though you have a lot of magnetism, this could be a week, if not careful, that passion could turn to anger. And maybe you're not quite as charming as you appear. And the more you try to mask how irritable you are with the situation, the more obvious it becomes. So some of you, in some cases, you may not be the positive influence. You could actually be stirring up the pot, starting trouble between other people, and maybe you're not even aware of it. So that need for attention, attraction, recognition can work for or against you. If you're looking for it to be validated, you may start to insert yourself in situations that become problemsome, that you become a nuisance to other people, or you rub people the wrong way, or you alienate other people, those that have affection for you, and even your friends. So some of you, this is a week where being objective starts to be a challenge. You have emotion and pride, and you may not be able to clearly see a situation the way you should. And as a result, it wreaks some kind of havoc in your life. Or again, you're finding yourself so charismatic that you're bringing in the wrong element of people. And part of it is the propensity for taking some risks that are unnecessary, for being speculative or extreme in some way. In fact, this is a week where judgment calls are important and making the right call. You will be judging others, and they in turn will be judging you. Now, this may be in an official capacity. Maybe you're dealing with the legal system. Maybe, something to do with some form of administration. Maybe you're dealing with some kind of unwelcome ending or an unwanted major change. So some of you this week, you're having to, despite that fire energy that is dynamic and restless, you're having to practice patience. You're also looking at some of the decisions that you're making. Maybe you're questioning the wisdom of a certain track that you're on, whether you should keep going down that road or a certain course of action or behavior. And it's a week where you either want to bring something back to life or it's coming back to life of its own, and you may not be so happy about that. Because certain issues that you thought were resolved and taken care of are now cropping up out of the woodwork. So, for some of you, you're going to be forced to make certain decisions given the new information that comes to light, certain facts that perhaps you didn't want to deal with. But despite how inconvenient or new developments that challenge what you wanted or information you receive, it actually may prove to be a blessing in disguise because it's going to create an opening for you. And that opening is to be better, to be your best, or to backtrack on something, to self-correct, to realign, to prevent you from making an even bigger mistake. So this is also a week where there's some kind of important milestone or a very important choice that you're making. And once again, we're dealing with endings and new beginnings. The end of a phase, the assessment of it, and whether you should move on or whether you should keep going. For some of you, it's the end of an era, the end of a situation that may include a career change, negatively or positively. Perhaps you get a promotion, or you realize that you need to move in a new direction given new opportunities. You're certainly doing a lot of evaluation, and maybe that's also taking into account your identity and being at some kind of crisis point with regard to who you are. Because spirituality is also a factor this week, or at least your values, your belief systems, and a judgment about whether you are in alignment with others, whether perhaps someone that you're intimate with or that you're angry with or closely connected to. Are you on the same page? Do you believe the same things? Now, you could have a very spiritual connection that develops into something physical because you both are on the same page. You're walking the same path. You have the same faith, the beliefs, the same life direction. Others of you, maybe you're getting some kind of advice, and maybe you're seeking spiritual advice, your own intuition, or, a spiritual healer, because certain things are coming back to life, or there's a call to action. Maybe you're reigniting your passion for someone, or maybe you're questioning a sexual connection given your faith or beliefs and whether it's right or wrong, or and for some of you, maybe there's something you want to come back to life, someone you feel very magnetically drawn toward, and your prayers are answered this week. So you may need to clear the air, and you need to be careful of how you do that so that you don't create more misconceptions or misunderstandings. Maybe you need to get clear on what your own values are and whether they connect with someone else's. In some cases, you're going to receive some vindication from a circumstance, some kind of exoneration. And when that happens, you may be able to turn something around. There was something headed in the wrong direction. Perhaps it appeared even disastrous. And given your patience and perseverance and determination, you turn that around and it actually becomes a success. If not, this could be a week where it takes a while for you to work through some issues and resolve matters. And until you do, a lot of things are going to be in limbo, and you may feel out of step. And you may be angry about that, having to tie up loose ends, deal with things that you thought were resolved. And it's one after another. And you feel like you're having to keep starting over. But really what that means is that perhaps you're not learning what you need to know. And it may not be bad luck as you're assuming. It could be this habit of putting things off, procrastinating, not wanting to deal with it, letting things just sit and become stagnant. So that could be the issue. But this is a week where you need to gain some distance between what you feel and what is fact. so that you can have good judgment, so that you won't make the wrong choice or the wrong move, whether it's, concerning your finances, in business, in family matters, or in an intimate relationship. And it's a week where your spirituality or your belief system should include some kind of compassion, because you may be too quick to judge other people, and you're pointing the finger and you're looking at their mistakes, but you're not taking into account your own. So again, this is a week where your patience is going to be tested. The more that you can absorb certain truths that you cannot escape, the greater the possibility for improvement. Now, some of your circumstance may involve knowledge, getting some knowledge. Maybe you need to consider some additional education or training. That could be through reading or formal study. Maybe this is about educating yourself on the beliefs and values of other people. Some of you, maybe you're doing research or you're teaching or you're mentoring others. Perhaps you're passionate about your faith or your beliefs and you're sharing those with others. Whatever you're doing, the advice is don't wait. There's an urgency this week to your circumstances. Again, that call to action, the need to make an important choice. And it requires that you act now. So procrastinating, putting something on hold, or hesitating could actually cause you to miss out on a good deal or an opportunity. So if you've been contacted or people are waiting on you for an answer, this is a week where you need to respond quickly. It may be, again, you have that strong intuition, and if so, you need to move on a hunch, a good idea, or a prospect. Take the initiative, take the lead, beat the crowd, because acting now could put you ahead of the curve, or at least allow you to spot a trend in the making. And if this is about a relationship and taking it to the next level, you're making that judgment call. Is there unfinished business that needs to be addressed? This is the week to move forward, either to reestablish that connection or make that decision to terminate it. So if there's been a misunderstanding or a situation needs to be mended, it's your hesitation that actually contributes to the damage rather than repairing it. So for some of you, waiting is just prolonging the inevitable and making things worse, or wondering where you stand with another person. Regardless of the outcome, this is the week to feel better about yourself by making that decision to be assertive. The last week of January the 22nd through the 31st, is a week where you may be hoping to move forward. Now, for some of you, this is a week where perhaps you're involved in something creative. Maybe you're even developing a latent talent. So it could be a week of using your imagination, your creativity, tapping into source. So you may want to move forward with a project. For others of you, this is about dealing with some circumstance where you're relying on luck or optimism. There may be some measure of uncertainty and you're seeking guidance through your intuition. And it's a week where for some of you, maybe it's about getting some kind of assistance that may arrive through hidden or unexpected sources. Perhaps dealing with healing agencies. Or perhaps you're seeking some kind of occult knowledge. Maybe you're trying to solve a mystery or the secrets of the universe. Maybe you're connecting to astrologers. But whatever it is, this is about getting some kind of relief, renewal, or comfort because of your faith in the future. And it could be a week where faith may be all you have. Now, last week there were issues of spirituality, beliefs. Perhaps you believe in a higher power, and that is what you rest on to move things forward. And it may be that because of your hope, events this week lend some kind of renewal to your circumstance. You feel refreshed or rejuvenated about your life. Perhaps there's something that allows you to feel lighter, freer, more open. You easily tap into source, whether that is to get in touch with your inner child or the inner part of yourself or your creative talents. And it could be a week where you feel as if there is a transition occurring on the horizon, some kind of important personal transformation. Now, you may feel very protected, and perhaps you are. Your guardian angels are watching over you. You're being guided by divine source. And for some of you, this brings into focus a young woman or a female child or a friend of yours. And if hope is all you have, again, that could be a strong motivator for you. And it's a week where you get in touch with your inner self and let intuition show you the way. Maybe you've been dealing with something disturbing, unsettling, something that has forced you to confront reality. And, we started off the month with powerful energy of transformation, new beginnings, and also endings, things that are coming back to life or things that should be put to rest, judgment calls. And so whatever is going on, again, it's a gateway to your greatest personal achievement. It's the opportunity to meet your highest self. So for some of you, you're looking at the positive aspect of a situation. You're trying to understand the meaning. And maybe that's what the spirituality was all about last week. What is the purpose? What's the silver lining? What's the meaning of my life? So it could be a week of existential considerations. And really taking a closer look at perhaps something you've been trying to do or achieve, where maybe initially you thought it was just a challenge. And you're coming to find out that, no, this is just a no-win situation. It's not going anywhere. If you can make that distinction, and the sooner you can make it, the smoother things will run for you. But it's also a week where your imagination can get the better of you. You may have a figment of imagination about a circumstance or a single-minded focus that blinds you to other facts. Alternatively, maybe, you can hone in on a situation with laser vision to see through matters and the intentions of other people. But if you can't, an overabundance of emotion may cause you to misinterpret your intuition. So it's a week where you're looking at faith and beliefs in yourself, other people, something you thought. All of that could be up for grabs this week and challenged by others and circumstances. The more open you are to new possibilities, the more likely the faith that you've had is going to be rewarded in some way, although it's a week where what you expected or envisioned may not appear exactly so. If you have difficulty accepting help, or you're pessimistic, or you've lost faith in the future, this could be a week where you feel very vulnerable, open, exposed. Poor judgment is coming back to haunt you. There have been some unfulfilled hopes. Maybe you had a moment of happiness, but it was fleeting. Some of you, again, maybe you're dealing with ill health or self-doubt, or you're rejecting spiritual guidance. So it could be a week where faith works for or against you, and your imagination may be fertile and creative, or it may, give rise to the wrong thing. It's a week where you're certainly trying to sort out the truth of a situation. What is fact? What is fiction? What is the reality? Am I seeing things in true perspective? And there's an energy about wanting to move forward. And for some of you, this may actually tie to travel or vehicles, or the speed in which something is moving. Speaking of which, on a mundane level, it's a week where you need to be careful. Perhaps you need roadside assistance, or there's some reckless driving that has some kind of consequence to it, whether it's a ticket or an accident. But aside from that, this is all about some kind of balance. Perhaps balancing opposing forces, you and someone else. Or perhaps using spiritual guidance to reconcile the shadow parts within yourself, some kind of inner conflict. It's a week where you're looking at compatibility issues and getting back to last week's, delving into value systems, faith. And so maybe you're trying to reconcile a situation where you're very different from someone else. It may be politically, it may be spiritual beliefs, it may be cultural, racial, it could be economic, but you are trying to, put something together in order to reach some kind of goal. Now, for some of you, this is about a conquest. Maybe there's someone, again, that you've had your eye on and you want that person. Or there is some ambition that you're striving for, and you're willing to fight for that, or at least put in a good effort. But that also means having a strong sense of purpose, not just winning, but knowing what your intentions are to move forward. It's a week where maybe you have to curb your impulses. Even though you're looking out for your interests, you can't just run over other people to get there. So anger could be an issue this week. And it is your attitude, your outlook, your moods, your views that have a strong influence on other people. And maybe you don't even realize to the degree that they do. It's a week where to get things moving might mean to accept help, where your greater strengths are used for you to take the reins. And when you're weaker in a certain spot, you allow the other person to be in charge, follower and the leader. Now again, this could be a week where there's travel or communication that is central to the events that play out. Maybe you're going to have to make some changes to your personal schedule, your finances, your professional agenda, or change your strategy in some way in order to meet that goal. You can, if you're in touch with your intuition, choose the correct path that will keep things moving along. So the focus is on efficiency, leadership, movement, and changes that you make or choose to make or forced to make may actually bring more opportunity than they cost you. So some of you, you're considering relocation or travel, and as a result, there may be something that comes out of it, a romantic situation, something adventurous, something unusual. But it's also a week where you do have to be focused. You do have to be patient because things come up. Maybe there's some delays, some miscommunication, some mechanical issues, breakdowns, inconveniences, medical problems, dilemmas. And so to stay on track, you'll have to maintain your equilibrium, keep the cart from turning over. But there is an issue here of unrequited love or rejecting certain things in a situation or in an alliance. Now, maybe your imagination ran away with you and you thought a connection was more solid than it is, or maybe your imagination worked in the opposite direction and you didn't give merit to something and it's more solid than you think. So you are on either side of something that appeared one way and is actually something totally different. Now, for some of you, you're doing the rejecting. You see that it can't move forward. You don't share the same beliefs or the same outlook. And if this was something that looked like it was headed toward romance, it may stay in the platonic zone, or there's outright rejection here of some sort. And if you have put all of your faith and belief that only this one person or this one situation or this one outcome will make you feel happy or good or validated or give your life meaning, that is the problem right there. You're lacking the self-confidence and you're putting that investment in the wrong place. So there could be circumstances this week that are beyond your control, where you've made a miscalculation and things are not going to move as smoothly or as quickly or at all as you had hoped. One or more relationships is going to cause you to take a closer look. It's going to enter a new phase of development. And what occurs this week is going to open your eyes or broaden your horizons, but only if you're paying close attention. Now, there is also some measure of extravagance here. And again, it might be a situation where you want to refresh yourself, recharge your batteries, move forward, take a trip, travel. And perhaps taking that dream vacation or treating yourself to a luxury item is important. You've worked hard to achieve success, you've gotten a victory, and maybe you deserve a little extravagance. So if you were rejecting something, maybe it's all in your imagination. Something negative will occur from that. And that's the more positive manifestation and the one that I hope occurs for you. Because your advice is actually to dream big. Maybe you found yourself trading in your dreams or settling for less than you deserve out of fear. And if you don't have a vision, maybe it's time you got one. Because to do great things, you've got to dream big dreams. So this is the week to challenge yourself to go one better. This is the week to have faith in your ability to reach the top. Stretch for the stars. Extend your efforts to reach beyond what you ever thought possible. And when you do, you may find that that self-belief will be mirrored through events that come together in synchronistic harmony with the sole purpose of boosting you to that next level. If this is about a relationship, maybe you'd given hope on finding that ideal partner or having a relationship at all. And if that's the case, perhaps it's because you've given up on yourself. Maybe it's time to rethink your requirements and review your approach. Look at the qualities of attraction and the motive that you're using for those. You may find that quest for the perceived ideal is just an excuse to remain single. On the other hand, if you're worthy of what you're willing to give, be clear in that intention. Refuse to accept people into your circle of intimacy who do not share your core values. You will attract what you seek when you devote yourself to embodying the qualities that you desire in a partner. So when you dream bigger dreams for yourself, you start to expect more from your relationships. The events that unfold might involve an Aquarius or a Cancer, and it could be their sun, their moon, or their rising sign. So January is a month of the review of compromise without compromising yourself, your beliefs, your values, and your standards. It also brings a review of desires, temptations, and fantasies. Maybe you're reviewing your finances, the possibility for travel, issues related to vehicles, plans for business expansion. or questions about compatibility or joining with another. You could be reviewing your health, happiness, and well-being, and you might take a closer look at control issues and excess, exaggeration, compulsions, addictions, or habits and relationships in need of healing. Whatever the case, you're faced with choices, possible opposition, and changes that inspire you to deal with an old matter, to develop it further, or to begin something new altogether. Maybe you're under pressure given an unexpected set of circumstances, revelations, or shocking insights that set the stage to make a point, receive vindication, or remove yourself as best you can from a situation, a job, or a relationship. Your concerns could center on thrill-seeking, entertainment, and clarity surrounding certain relationships that, while fun, might just be a fun ride, or situations where you could be taken for a ride. These events encourage transparency through a direct and honest approach to discussion without judgment, to clear the air and bring matters out into the open. And timing is a factor. And while you may be looking for just the right moment to make a move or test the waters to decide your next course of action, procrastination, resistance, and self-doubt work against you in matters where you fail to trust yourself and your own instincts. And when that happens, you become susceptible to intimidation, manipulation, and decisions you later regret. There's an element of divide and conquer where parties debate to further an agenda, but nothing gets resolved. And in the meantime, there's some suffering. The message is to look out for your own self-interest, but not at the expense of others. Before you go off on a rampage, make sure you know the facts and that you can see things clearly, because that will help you prevent poor judgment or go with the excuse to remain in a bad situation or a bad relationship when you could do so much better. Eventually, toward the end of the month, you're able to put your well-thought-out plans in motion with fire energy as backup to make sure they happen. So for some of you, this could bring a sudden change in career, a complete lifestyle change, or just the ability to reinvent your life. While important occurrences unfold throughout the entirety of the month, the most significant weeks are the first and the last.